The first time Caleb Harper saw his boss barefoot in the sand, laughing as the ocean waves chased her ankles, he forgot how to breathe. It wasn't because she was beautiful, though she was. It wasn't even because she was the CEO of the marketing firm that controlled his paycheck and, in many ways, his fragile future. It was because of what she said next. Words so simple, so unexpectedly kind, that they broke something open inside a man who had been holding himself together with duct tape and sleepless nights. Before we step into that moment on a quiet beach in Charleston, South Carolina, take a second and like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the kind of love that finds you when you least expect it. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, and whether you believe the right words at the right time can change a life. Caleb had never imagined his life would look like this at 32. He used to picture road trips, a growing career, maybe a little house with a porch swing and a golden retriever. Instead, he had a small rented apartment in North Charleston, a stack of overdue bills tucked into a kitchen drawer, and a 6-year-old daughter named Sophie who believed her dad could fix anything, even when he could barely fix himself. 2 years earlier, his wife had walked out. She didn't leave with screaming or broken plates. She left quietly, with a suitcase and an apology that felt more like a shrug. She said she wasn't cut out for motherhood, that she needed to find herself. Caleb had nodded, too shocked to argue, too afraid that if he pushed, she would take Sophie with her. She didn't. She left them both behind. Since then, Caleb's life had been a cycle of daycare drop-offs, deadlines, microwave dinners, and late-night laundry. He worked as a project coordinator at Brightwave Media, a growing marketing firm in Charleston. The company had recently been taken over by a new CEO, Olivia, a woman known in the industry for her sharp instincts and even sharper expectations. Olivia was respected, some said feared. She had turned failing companies into million-dollar success stories. She dressed in tailored suits, moved with quiet authority, and rarely smiled during meetings. Caleb had only spoken to her directly twice, once when she corrected his numbers in a presentation, and once when she asked him to stay late for revisions. Both times, he'd felt like a nervous intern again. He never let her see the exhaustion under his eyes, or the way his hands trembled from too much coffee and too little sleep. He couldn't afford to look weak, not with rent due. Not with Sophie needing new shoes. The beach trip wasn't a vacation. It was a company retreat, mandatory. Caleb almost didn't go. Sophie had a mild fever the night before and he considered calling in sick. But his mother, who lived an hour away in Mount Pleasant, insisted she would keep Sophie overnight. "You need this," she told him, "even if it's just a break from your own thoughts." The retreat was held at a rented beachfront property just outside Charleston. White sand stretched endlessly, and the Atlantic rolled in with rhythmic certainty, as if it had never known heartbreak. Caleb stood apart from the group during the afternoon break, his shoes in his hand, tie loosened, staring at the water. The others were scattered, some laughing near the volleyball net, others sipping drinks under umbrellas. He felt out of place, like a shadow in a brightly lit room. He was calculating expenses in his head when he heard footsteps behind him. Olivia stopped a few feet away, having traded her heels for bare feet. Her blazer was gone, replaced by a light sweater that the wind tugged gently at. Without the conference room walls, she looked human, almost softer. "You look like a man carrying more than just sand in his shoes," she said. Caleb forced a polite smile. He wasn't sure how to respond. No one at work ever commented on how he looked unless it involved performance metrics. "I guess I'm just thinking," he replied carefully. She watched the waves for a moment, then said something that made his chest tighten. "Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who are tired of being strong." The words hit him harder than any criticism ever had. They weren't corporate. They weren't rehearsed. They were personal. And somehow, she said them like she knew. Caleb didn't answer immediately. His throat felt tight. He wondered if the ocean was loud enough to hide the crack in his voice. Olivia didn't press. She just stood beside him, letting the silence stretch comfortably between them. After a while, she said, "I grew up not far from here. My dad raised me alone after my mom passed. He used to bring me to this exact stretch of beach when things felt overwhelming. He'd say the ocean reminds you that your problems are real, but they're not bigger than the world. Caleb turned to look at her, surprised. He had never imagined her talking about childhood, about loss. "My wife left 2 years ago," he found himself saying, the words slipping out before he could stop them. "It's just me and my daughter now." Olivia's expression didn't shift to pity. It softened into understanding. "That's not easy," she said quietly. "But your daughter is lucky." He let out a small, humorless laugh. "You don't know that." She looked him directly in the eyes, and there was no CEO in that gaze. Only a woman who understood something deep. Any father who shows up every day, even when he's exhausted, even when he's scared, is doing more than he thinks. And just like that, something inside Caleb cracked. Not in a breaking way, but in a healing way. No one had ever said that to him. Not friends, not coworkers, not even his own family. He had been functioning on autopilot, assuming he was barely adequate. In that moment, he didn't see his boss. He saw someone who saw him. Over the next few hours, they talked more. About Sophie's obsession with sea turtles, about Olivia's late father teaching her to ride a bike, about the strange loneliness that success sometimes brings. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in pinks and golds, and Caleb felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. But hope can be terrifying. Back at work the following week, everything felt different, and exactly the same. Olivia was once again in tailored suits, commanding meetings. Caleb was back at his desk, juggling spreadsheets and school pickup times. He wondered if the beach had been a temporary illusion. Then came the setback. A major client pulled out unexpectedly, and the team scrambled to fix the financial gap. Rumors of layoffs whispered through the office. Caleb's stomach twisted. He couldn't lose this job. Not now. One afternoon he was called into Olivia's office. His pulse pounded as he knocked. She didn't waste time. The company needed to restructure. Some positions would shift. Some responsibilities would grow. "I want you to lead the new client outreach initiative," she said. Caleb blinked. "Me?" "You," she confirmed. "You understand people. You don't just sell ideas, you believe in them. That matters." He thought of Sophie's school tuition, of rent, of the ocean. "It's more responsibility," she continued, "but it comes with a raise." Relief flooded him so suddenly he had to grip the chair. "I won't let you down," he said. "I know," she replied simply. Over the next few months, they worked closely. Late evenings in conference rooms turned into conversations about parenting, about fear, about what it means to start over. Caleb brought Sophie to a company picnic, and Olivia knelt in the grass to help her build a sandcastle, laughing when it collapsed. The office gossip machine started buzzing, but neither of them rushed anything. There were boundaries, conversations, careful steps. It wasn't scandalous or dramatic. It was deliberate. One evening, months after the beach, they found themselves walking along that same stretch of sand again, this time by choice. Caleb looked at the horizon and realized he wasn't carrying the same weight anymore. "You know," he said softly, "that day you told me the strongest people are the ones tired of being strong. I think that's when I started falling for you." Olivia smiled, not surprised. "Good," she said, "because that's when I started seeing the kind of man I'd been waiting for." If this story has touched your heart so far, take a moment to like the video and share it with someone who needs to believe that love can grow in unexpected places. Before we reach the end, I want to ask you something special. In the comments, write the word "second chance" if you believe that life sometimes saves its best chapters for later. Caleb's life didn't transform overnight. There were still bills, still hard days, still parenting mistakes and workplace stress. But now, there was partnership. There was someone who reminded him that strength didn't mean silence, and vulnerability didn't mean weakness. A year later, on that same beach in Charleston, with Sophie giggling nearby and the Atlantic whispering its endless rhythm, Caleb knelt in the sand, not out of exhaustion this time, but out of love. And when Olivia said yes, it wasn't just to a ring. It was to a man who had learned that sometimes The right words at the right moment can pull you back from the edge and teach you how to breathe again. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of your own battles or your own unexpected blessings, please engage with this video, like, comment, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Because sometimes, all it takes is one sentence, one act of kindness, to change a life forever.